Hello, this is Blonde Kyiv. I'm in Kyiv. Now, when I meet people in my town, they ask me, where did you go when the war started? Constantly shelling, bombing.
Administrator of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been elected on that.
I decided to stay in the most horrible time in my city, so that is a story about the most horrible months in my town. Yes, I know the video quality is not the best, but honestly, at that time I did not care. I did it only for my archive. The only question in our mind was whether we will stay alive or not. The reason why I had not posted this video until now, when the Russian troops were coming to Kyiv, I didn't want to post any details about what was happening on the roads, in the hospitals, and giving any information to the invaders at that moment. When the war started, just sitting at home and being scared was not an option for me. At the same time, I didn't want to leave Ukraine and leave Kyiv, so I decided to keep busy and started working hard. In my previous video, I showed how difficult it was to get medicine and food in Kyiv. So I went for the 3 days to Lviv. It's a city in Ukraine, not far from the Polish border. I met a team of journalists, bought a medicine in the West, and returned to Kyiv at the beginning of March. Hello guys, I'm okay. I'm in the West Ukraine. I don't want to leave Ukraine, I don't want to leave Kyiv, I believe in the best. I also start to collect donations, and only thanks to you guys, I managed to raise more than 400 euro to help Ukraine. You can see all the details about this in my Instagram highlights or Forever Stories. Support Ukraine. In Lviv I had the chance to rest a little bit after bombing in Kyiv and did not pay much attention to the air raid sirens. In Kyiv it was maybe 10 to 15 times per day. In Lviv it was like 1 time per day.
Увага! Відбій повітряної тривоги! Увага! Увага! Відбій повітряної тривоги!
I'm from Kyiv. I don't care. Just to let you know, end of February and beginning of the March, the safest thing was to stay inside your flat or in the bomb shelters. Traveling and moving around outdoors was not safe, especially in certain areas. A lot of cars were shelled by Russians while people were trying to evacuate. At the same time, the city was being bombed and everyone was shocked that it was the beginning of the war. Traveling from Kyiv to Lviv and back to Kyiv was not easy for me, but it was the choice I made. As I was returning to Kyiv with the medicine, this was the traffic jam heading west. You see, it was not easy to flee. 100 kilometers in 24 hours meant you were lucky. Very few cars were traveling in the same direction as I, to Kyiv. We went through different checkpoints and we got closer to Kyiv. The control was more strict. I remember nearing Kyiv, I was asked if I'm a hostage because I was the only girl in the car and the only girl in the team. Of course, all the guys at the checkpoints were scared because they had no idea who was in the car and it was approaching. There were cases when Russians killed civilians, changed clothes, took a local car and shot the guys at checkpoints. Beginning of March, now I'm in Kyiv. I was staying here for the first month of the war and was working with Wall Street Journal. It's a strange feeling when your own city, where you're born and live all your life, is almost empty. There was almost no life there. Restaurants, shopping malls, and everything was closed. Very few people were in the streets. According to our mayor, 1 of every 2 people had left Kyiv. At the beginning, Kyiv was the main target. Russia had all the chances to take Kyiv. I lived with my team in the center of the city. We stayed together all the times, and our security was always with us. In my video, I'm almost silent on camera. There was nothing to say.
This hot sauce is exceptional. It's homemade and it's really good.
Russia bombed civilians' objects every day. Civilians died. You can see how the Russians destroyed everything. You were always under pressure of possible shelling. I wish no one would ever have to see their own city in the way I did. You can't imagine my feelings these days. I'm in Kyiv, in the very central part of Kyiv. You can hear how Ukrainians live in Ukraine already 22 days. These sirens you can hear during the day, during the night. Can you imagine? It's day and night, day and night. My city, Kyiv. I was born here, and I have lived here all my life, and someone wants to steal my city, my home. I lived with the constant sounds of explosions and air raid sirens. I was very tired and in shock. There were sirens at all times during the day and night. I slept only a couple hours each day. During the day we were working.
Like you said earlier,
We were at different meetings. For example, these are the first Russian prisoners. I was with my team at the president's meeting. I remember we met at a special occasion. We gave all our phones and cameras to the soldiers, while security brought us to the special place. We also spent a lot of time at the hospitals. It is forbidden to say the location and other details. All I can say is that it was on the outskirts of Kyiv, not far from the front line. Soldiers and civilians from Bucha and Irpin were also here. You know what happened in the occupied territories. Bucha is a very well-known city on the outskirts of Kyiv, infamous for the tortures, murders and raping of civilians. Also, we were at the railway stations, a place where people were trying to flee from the war. This was a place to stay for the night. Volunteers, Red Cross and psychological place. Again, there were people from Bucha and other towns here as well. We interviewed many different people and every story was just as heartbreaking. Some lost their loved ones, some were injured or had been under shelling. All of my friends fled from Kyiv. Many people thought I was crazy to stay. After 1 month of the war, yes, I can say I was crazy. I couldn't sit normally and I saw how Russia killed my people and bombed my town. I guess I was very tired and depressed. One day I remember the shopping mall Retroville was bombed at night. We were there right after curfew the next morning. It was our military base and air defense system. It was scary to be there. The next day, this place was bombed again. One journalist died. Her name was Oksana Baulina. Now I have the feeling that someone could have stolen my city. I was scared to lose my town. I never realized just how much I love Ukraine and my city. Nice city.
It is. Happy to be safe.
I often remember doing city tours and remember my clients. I remember this peaceful, nice time. It breaks my heart even more. That is how we sleep. The situation in Kyiv has improved. In the next video, I will show you.